Hello and welcome to Drive and Double Feature Podcast. I'm Nathan,
I'm Ryan.
and this is the podcast where we talk about two movies a week every Tuesday and Thursday. But before we get into today's episode, I want to talk to you about our Patreon. If you head over to patreon.com/Drive and Double Feature Podcast, you get fun games, conversations, all for $5 a month, and you help support us. And be sure, whenever you're out in public, albeit NASA facilities, I don't know where, grocery store aisles, libraries, shout your love for us because somehow it always circles back to us and we know you care. I know I'm like Santa. I know every one of my listeners and I know exactly what you do. And I will know if you praise us, but I'll also know if you don't praise us. So just keep that in mind next time you're out in public. Just a little warning.
We take note of each listener that doesn't give us a compliment in some way.
Yeah, so it's kind of like we have a list, and then there's actual exclusive episodes specifically for people who've shouted us out in public. So you don't get access to that if you don't if you're not out in public singing our praises. Just, and I'm just kidding. There is no exclusive content anywhere
No,
except
there
for
is.
at the
There
Patreon.
is.
The Patreon is the
Well,
only place. Don't want to confuse anybody. But let's talk about 1991's Wedlock, which, funny enough, it wasn't until this week that I realized that we picked an HBO double feature. We both picked
we
that
did.
was very unplanned, but why not?
Of all the movies in the world, we did two HBO made for TV movies that were made in the 90s.
Yeah. I mean, they were a few years apart, but yeah, early 90s. It's surprising, I guess. It's interesting because HBO, I mean, like before we even get into it, HBO has changed so much. Because HBO, I mean, it's always been like kind of classier because you paid for it. It gave you movies and stuff like high class movies, but like the actual HBO made for TV content, not until like late 90s, early 2000s was it particularly, I would say, like highbrow. Like they did a lot of B movie
What
stuff.
about Tales from the Crypt? Babar?
Okay, and Crashbox. Their children's content was pretty good. But Tales from the Crypt is a B movie. I'm sorry, Ryan. That's B stuff. It's good. It's good, but it's not like
You're telling me
it ain't The Sopranos.
Rutger Hauer's not an A-list actor?
You know what? Him and Mimi Rogers are A-list material, I think. Right? So
Well, I
maybe
mean,
I'm wrong. I'm wrong. I'll
you
admit it.
get dri you get drive-in double feature favorite James Reamer.
Yeah. Woo, I didn't expect to see him here. It's funny. I was playing the Warriors game not long ago and I was like, "Oh, hell yeah. I'm happy to see him." And the director of this um Louis Teague, he's a Drive and Double Feature podcast favorite. Do you remember what he directed?
Well,
He actually did one that we did semi recently, and that's Alligator. He did Alligator,
okay.
and
Well, like
also okay.
I recognized the name, but it
Hmm.
didn't I didn't realize exactly like who if it was. I was like, I know we've done this director
Yeah,
before, but I couldn't tell you what name it was.
yeah. Well, it's because the other one is late the Lady in Red, which is another one that's come up multiple times because that
That's an
one's written by
early.
John Sayles. That is a very early one. A movie I don't remember like too well, but I actually kind of liked it from what.
We don't Nate, don't you remember Nathan in our Patreon exclusive? We nominated her for best actress out of all the movies we
We
watched.
did. You know what? I still will be okay with that. I she was the lady in red. But I should say he also directed Cujo and Cat's Eye, so he's made like kind of I guess maybe higher profile movies as well. Not saying Lady in Red isn't high profile. Um, but Wedlock um opens up with a prison not a prison. What am I saying? It opens up with a bank robbery. And Rutger Hauer, James Reamer, and Joan Chen, who is a movie director, actually, they are all teamed up to rob these diamonds from a bank. And it actually starts really cool. It's kind of a stylish movie. It's very fast paced. They're dressed as janitors and they go in and they have all these special tools to get these diamonds. Joan Chen has this giant extendo arm that extends through the bars and hits a button on the other side so the gate will open. Because this movie takes place kind of in the future. It doesn't specifically say when, but it's a weird future.
It says it specifically at the title card of the
Oh,
movie.
it
Sometime in
does.
the future.
Oh,
Yeah, it
okay.
says
Well, yeah,
it's
just
sometime in the
sometime in the
future.
future. Yeah, so
That's the,
I guess it did that well because it still looks like the 90s, but every once in a while they do like something odd or they'll have like some odd tools or something. What I find so funny in this movie is Rutger Hauer plays this like plays like a nerd, like he's a very odd weakling, which feels very different than what I would expect from a Rutger Hauer role. But he still does all these one lines and quips. But he doesn't even talk at the beginning of this movie. He kind of lets the other two do the work, which would make sense because Joan Chen and James Remar are both in cahoots to kind of screw over. I should get his name. What are all their names? Frank Warren to
Frank.
basically use Frank's abilities in order to rob the bank, take
Well,
the
they say
diamonds.
specifically he's a tech guy.
Yeah, exactly. So they let him take care of that, and then they take the diamonds. But things go a little crazy, which is, I think this is so goofy that she wears a necklace to the robbery, and she has to dress as a cop later to kind of blend in with the cops. And that kind of makes her like easily spottable. But they say that from the beginning. It's like, oh, you're gonna risk this whole thing over a necklace? Yep. And that's exactly
Yep.
what happened. They just 3 minutes later, it's like, oh, there's a neck. You're wearing a necklace. You can't do that as a cop.
Well, I mean, yeah, I remember that. I remember them like drilling into the safe and like water like pouring out of the safe as they're drilling into it.
Yeah, I think that's like something to do with like drilling into it so it doesn't create like too many sparks, I believe. It's a part of the tool. But yeah,
It,
it's
it
stylish.
was just it was just a very wet safe.
It's all liquid assets. Um, Sorry. But yeah, so they end up but what happens is they end up getting split off and Rutger Hauer actually stashes the diamonds somewhere. And they end up killing Rutger Hauer, but he gets hurt so bad that he can't really tell them where the diamonds are. So what happens is he ends up going to prison. And that's actually something we learn way later in the movie. I think what we're supposed to assume, and kind of what I assumed, was that he got hurt really bad and he ended up going to the hospital and he went to prison for the crimes that he committed. Because we wake up right with him going to prison and he goes to this super max prison where the prison warden is played by Stephen Tobolowski, which is such an odd
Yeah, well,
pool.
I've seen him. You know, he's in a lot of stuff,
Yeah, I think
and
at this time he was just in Groundhog Day.
no,
Oh,
Groundhog Day was after this.
that's right. That's a couple 1993. Yeah,
Yeah.
so he wasn't even there yet.
So when I saw him as the warden, was I was just like, "Ah, that's just such he's such a nerdy warden, and it's just like it's just not very threatening in the least, which I guess that's what they're going for
Mm-mm.
because that's it's this very tech heavy prison,
Hmm.
and which by the way, did you know? Did you ever watch Power Rangers?
No, I wasn't a Power Rangers kid.
The prison is actually like the main layer for Zordon. I was just like
No way.
yeah, like the building, and someone pointed that out to me, and I was just like, oh yeah, it is. It's like from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
No wonder. Okay, because like someone, I was reading Letterbox stuff, and like someone mentioned that in the reviews. And I didn't get it. It just like I was like, oh, Zordon. Okay, like because I remember I didn't because I don't know like anything about Power Rangers. So that's actually really funny. Um,
Hmm.
which I guess. That's the thing. Them putting it sometime in the future, they don't get to really commit to the sci-fi bit of this. I think this would have been a really like a cooler movie if the prison was more sci-fi. If it was a little more, because what it is the prison. They all have bands around their neck that'll make their head explode if they try to escape, and the people that are in the prison are kind of prison guards because you have a wedlock partner, just some random person you don't know who it is that will also die if you try to escape.
Right. Well, because they make the point of saying like there's like you see, there's no fences, there's no guards anywhere.
Mm-hmm.
It's like you could run off this premise as fast as you can, but once you get 100 yards away from your wedlock partner, your head's just gonna explode. And they they basically say like this whole like basically like the prison is in like this 100 yard diameter.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like as long as you're within this range, you're always within 100 yards of your wedlock partner.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so like that's kind of like the silly part of this, but there's more to it. So I thought this movie would be more prison focused, but I kind of like the turn because, like you said, the warden, he's a little more nerdy. He's not really a mean presence, but he could still hold his power over Rutger Hauer because he wants the diamonds. He's like, I want to know where the diamonds are, or I will make your life a living hell. And he basically puts Rutger Hauer in a deprivation tank for God knows how long, long enough to grow a beard and everything.
Well, you're missing a lot of stuff in here, which I think is funny,
Oh,
which is
okay,
like,
yeah,
yeah, like you're not allowed to have names in this
that's
prison.
right. Your
They,
colors.
everyone gets assigned a color.
Mhm.
And I made a joke. I was just like, oh, he's going to be like magenta. And he actually was magenta. And
Oh
I'm like,
wow, you guessed
ah, I
it.
guess magenta. So
That's funny.
like you're not allowed to call anybody else that. There's this like one guy named Emerald that's like giving him like the hardest time. And
Well,
he's
and
like always put.
did you recognize Emerald?
But so I looked it up and I'm like, we have talked about him in a movie, right? He's been in one of our movies, right?
Um, I'm wrong. No, he has not been in any of our movies. I swear to God, I thought he was in one of our movies.
Was he not? I thought I read he was.
I thought so too. I thought I mean, I could be completely wrong. I thought he was the guy from Showgirls.
Oh no.
I don't know why I thought he was that guy. But no, looking at his filmography, no, he's not in anything. He's that we've talked about. Oh wait, Marked for Death. No, we haven't covered that one.
We haven't done any Seagal movies.
No, never. And that's okay. He's in Joyride, like Mike. He's also in Blood Diamond. Yeah, no. Interesting. But yeah, there is a guy named Emerald who like becomes friends with Rutger Hauer.
Was it so was Emerald his friends or was it Jasper?
That's right. That's why I'm confused. Okay, yeah, Emerald is the guy that hates him. The guy that like
Yeah.
really pisses him off. Jasper. And then Jasper's in a lot of stuff.
Or, no. I'm sorry. No, it was Teal. Teal is his friend.
I'm getting their names mixed up. And Teal is in Showgirls. Okay, so we've covered Teal. There we go. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, I knew I wasn't crazy.
Man, everyone got AIDS and shit.
Everyone got AIDS and shit.
AIDS and
It's
shit.
that guy. Yeah, Teal is his friend. Emerald is that's the big guy that like hates him.
Yeah, he's the big bully character.
Yes.
And I noticed too, there's his wedlock monster, like his little henchman.
Hmm.
That he was a henchman in The Mask, I remember.
Oh wow, I don't remember that. But he looked kind of
Yeah.
familiar. Oh, and Danny Trejo is in this very tiny role.
Yeah, he plays a criminal, which I think is a little out of his range,
Yeah,
but
he tried for the one line that he speaks in this movie.
yeah,
Um,
and he gets his throat slit. But I mean, yeah, I was enjoying like the prison aspect of this movie, and
Me
I was
too.
like thinking it was good. I was wanting it to be like a futuristic prison movie.
Same here, yeah, because this is where it's the most fun because it's almost like its own ecosystem and you learn all of its little rules and how it works. Like every week, it seems like they have sex with the partner of their choosing. So
Well,
they
yeah,
just have
that's
these
it.
sex rooms.
Well, this is a co-ed prison too,
Yes, yeah.
and the one and they're like every night from 7 to 10 they go to the ranch or the shed I think is, and they can just
I forget what it was called.
yeah, and they can just have sex with whoever they want.
Yeah. So it like gets rid of like the whole rape aspect,
Aggression.
which Rutger Hauer has a really weird line because he's talking to the warden and like, the warden's like, "Oh, you don't have to bend over for Bubba or anything." And then Rutger Hauer's like, I'd rather go down on Bubba than be here." And I'm like, "Hold on." Is it that bad? Like it's like, yeah, I'd rather be a prison bitch
Well,
than
you got you
this.
get. I mean, given the two options, like, would you rather be in prison or do that? I mean, you might go with that option.
Over the Wedlock prison? I don't know. I don't know. I mean, I guess both are bad. I guess it's both. Well, and here's the thing: Rutger Hauer has a much worse time in the Wedlock prison. Maybe what he goes through because he does get stuck in a deprivation tank for what feels like weeks,
Floaters.
months, floaters as they call them, which I'm pretty sure can make a man go crazy. Like I'm pretty sure you could go crazy doing something like that.
Well, it's just funny, like that. That's like, for them, that's like isolation. But people like pay to do that. They're like, oh
I
yeah,
know.
like you can just go in this sensory deprivation uh chamber, and
I
you stay in there for and the predetermined amount of time.
Yeah, I've seen that before where people will go in one for like an hour and they'll come out and be like, "Oh, it felt like forever." You won't see me going in a deprivation tank. I wouldn't. There's no way. That sounds horrible.
So Nathan, you either gotta go on the deprivation or you gotta go down in
Okay, we do not need
Bubba.
to pose an hour in a deprivation tank, please. I don't need because when I hear the name Bubba, I'm thinking like the worst possible thing. Um, like I'm trying to like one of the twins. What's that Australian movie? The movie with the supplements. Uh,
Oh, the not melting man.
I
God, I
forget.
can't remember.
I can't remember it either, but like I imagine like the twins. When I think Bubba,
Uh,
I think of one of the twins from that
just like
movie.
just like a big blob of a person.
Yeah. But anyway, he ends up in that deprivation tank, but Teal does come in and actually feeds him at one point. And I actually really like this twist, even though maybe I saw it coming because there's one part where they get really close, like so close that Rutger Hauer's like, "You know what? I'll tell you where the diamonds are if, like just in case I die," because he ends up having to fight Jasper. Um
Oh,
Not
Emerald.
Jasper. Sorry, God, I'm mixing up their names. He ends up having to fight Emerald. Um and I was like in that moment, like, oh, he's there to screw him over. He's an informant.
What? Oh yeah, because he was just like, come on, just tell me, just tell me, like let's just
Yeah.
just say it right now.
Hmm.
And uh, but I do want to mention too in the sleep deprivation too, like you said, it's like months, and like at one point, just like Emerald just like opens it and just starts pissing on him. And he's just
Yeah.
like and
It's I
he's like he can't close the lid fast enough like when he's
Yeah.
doing that.
It's so funny to hear Rutger Hauer doing that. You're like, oh no, in this like strong accent. You
Yeah.
know, Rutger Hauer in particular, he can be good, like in Blade Runner, but I would never be like, oh, he's a great actor. But he's one of those actors that, like, personally, I feel like has presence. Like I'm watching him on screen and I'm just like enjoying what he's doing.
Yeah. Well, because I like it too, because like you said, Mimi Rogers is in jail, and she's
Yeah.
what was her name? Ivory
Tracy or Ivory, yes.
in there. And originally, he's like she's like trying to like get with him and all that, and Emerald's like, stay away from her, she's mine. And he's like, you can have her. Like I'm not interested at all.
I
And it's
know.
just
I love that because Tracy is just like all over him because they're wedlock partners. And And it's just, that's like the big thing with Emerald is like you gotta stay away from her, man. But
And he's
like,
like not even trying to put the moves on her at all.
yeah, right. Because Rutger Hauer, his shtick this movie is that he doesn't like women, and not like a "I hate women" kind of thing. Just like the last woman screwed him over, and he doesn't want another woman to screw him over, so he's just gonna stay away from them. But Mimi Rogers is wanting to escape with him because she found out that they're wedlock partners.
Hmm.
And then in the big fight, and I wish there was more violence. This movie could have been way more violent because there's one scene in the prison yard where Rutger Hauer uses a tool to open up Emerald's wedlock band, and his head explodes, and his partner's head explodes. Love that. I thought that rocked. I was happy to see that. I was hoping for a bit more of that later on.
Yeah.
Um, but this movie kind of loses its edge, and I'm not saying it really gets bad, but I feel like for me it was a real high in the prison, and then once Tracy and Frank both escape and it becomes an escape road movie, I maybe lost a little more interest in it personally.
I that was the same way. I was like I thought the prison stuff was like actually pretty strong,
Yeah, yeah.
and and I was like I was really getting into like the lore of it. I'm just like, and
Hmm.
then like I thought the ending was going to be like them like escaping or whatever, but that's
Hmm.
like a little bit halfway into the movie, kind of.
Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't think it like ruins anything because I still think their presence is there. Like I kind of like the Rutger Hauer maybe Rogers pairing. They're kind of just like out on the road together, bickering. Rutger Hauer just he's a one liner character. He's always dropping one liners. Um, but it just becomes kind of just like, oh, okay, we just gotta avoid everyone because now we find out that the warden is in cahoots with his past partners, and they kind of go out and see them. But I think the biggest reveal of this movie and how like, because I remember when I watched it, and Ivory was like, she says, "Oh, I just heard from a guard that we're wedlock partners. I got it out of them." Well, we find out she wanted to escape with him so bad because it was all set up to get to the diamonds. That was like one of the plans to get the diamonds from Rutger Hauer, that she was actually a plant, but she's starting to grow feelings for Rutger Hauer. So lovely,
Wow.
beautiful,
Y-
moving.
Yeah, I kind of, I mean, I to me it felt a little forced, that
Yeah,
twist.
yeah.
I was like, okay, like I I think you're just really wanting to add more drama to like this final bit than you're really what's actually going on.
Exactly. I feel like it would have worked better if she wasn't. It'd be a little more interesting because it only really pays off to be like, oh, Rutger Howard had every right to hate every woman because they all are they all are trying to screw him
He
over.
was right. Women suck.
Yeah, I mean if that's the lesson. But no, I mean at the end of the movie, she's kind of like she works with him because she feels bad about what she's done. There's a really odd part of the movie where they're escaping from prison on a boat, and they want to go to one of her ex's weddings, and it's like this huge fight to go to the wedding of or going to his wedding to see like why she left him. It adds like this whole backstory plot for her where she was with a guy that was above her like class level, and her whole family paid her off. I don't think any of that pays off, and I thought that was such a weird like aside for this movie. Because
Yeah.
if they're escaping for prison, are they really going to stop off somewhere just to talk to
Well,
some guy?
well, like you'd think too, like the warden or whatever, or James Reamer would just be like, "What the hell are you doing?" Like, it's
Yeah,
like,
that was not the
like,
plan.
yeah, like, I don't care if some dude left you. Like, go get the freaking diamonds.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, we have riches. That's what matters. Um, but yeah, there's a whole scene that takes over that. There's like a few scenes where they deal with how the wedlock band works, like where one's on a bus and the other one's running behind, and you think it's gonna explode and stuff like that. Um, but it all comes to like this big giant gunfight in the end, where finally everything shows up, or everyone shows up, and they end up going after Rutger Hauer. And that's where I feel like one of my favorite performances in this movie is Joan Chen. She is just insane in this movie, just playing the most evil woman you could think of, because she screws over literally everybody, even James Reamer, to get these diamonds. She's diamond crazy.
Yeah, I thought she was pretty fun in the role. Like even in the beginning of the movie, I was thinking like, oh, like I kind of liked her, and then I
Mhm.
was thankful we got a lot more of her later.
Yeah, because she's such a becomes the main villain in the end, really. And she has a lot of really great lines because Rutger Hauer's like, "Did you ever really love me?" And she's like, or I think he's no, he says, "Did I ever really love you?" And she says, "Well, you really loved my ass." I don't know. There was something about that that was
And he's
funny.
like, "Oh, baby."
Uh-huh. So silly. Um, hell, all I know, Rutger Hauer's like some sex symbol.
Yeah, but ladies dig the accent.
I guess so. Um,
I was just trying to look up to like what Joan Chen's like movies were that she directed,
yeah.
and I've only heard of one of them.
Yeah, it's she's directed a lot, but it's like a lot of like Chinese movies. I know of one which is Juju, which I think Juju is like considered like a great movie. But I
Well,
don't
and I've heard of Autumn in New York, Richard Gere and Winona Ryder.
yeah, which is interesting. Um and she's in The Last Emperor. So she had a long career. And also I'm looking, I forgot Mimi Rogers, Tom Cruise for 3 years.
They
Wow,
were married, yeah.
crazy. And now she lives in Coral Gables and is a board member of the World Poker Tour.
Hey, you know what? Good for her.
She's doing what she wants to do. You know what? That's what I always think about those poker things. They're probably just, they get to
And
have
Rutger
fun.
Hauer, he's dead.
Rutger Hauer lived for a long time. You know what? Good for him. How old is he? Oh, he's
So
75. I thought he was older.
he
Um,
lived a long time. Well,
well,
he
75's
was old.
75's old, but like you didn't. That's like the cutoff. I feel like 75 and up is like at what age do you stop saying like is it like too young?
Now, didn't you just love his performance in Hobo with a Shotgun?
Oh, that's right. He was in that. I remember not liking that movie at all, but I watched it. It was new. Have you seen it?
No, I have.
No, that didn't get a theatrical release like Machete.
I think it did.
It did. Okay, maybe I just didn't watch it in the theater.
Maybe
Um,
not a wide release, but anyway.
yeah. Anyway, he was dog in in Blade Runner though. Absolute garbage. One of the worst I've
Hmm.
ever seen. Uh,
That's true.
that is very true. But yeah, I mean, it all ends in a gunfight. But of course, the good guys win in the end. Of course, everything works out. It's a nice, happy ending. Um, so yeah, I mean, like obviously, from what I'm telling you, what I thought was the most interesting part of the movie was the part that we talked the most about, which is the prison part. And I just don't have as much to say about the escape part. Not to say that it makes the movie bad. I actually like this movie.
No,
I
no,
kind of go ahead.
no, I was just gonna say it's a decent movie that just kind of loses its steam towards the end for me.
Exactly. So, like, it's not it wouldn't even say mixed bag. Just yeah, loses steam, but it's still something solid, something interesting. So, you know what? I give it a light recommend. I actually think it's kind of worth checking out.
Yeah, I was having a pretty good time with it
Mhm.
until the end, which I mean, it wasn't a bad experience overall, but I would have liked to have been like a more like I said, like a futuristic type prison, and
Mhm.
like people are trying to figure out who their wedlock partner is versus
Yeah.
them versus them just being there like, oh, I'm your wedlock partner, and it's like, oh, well, that was easy type of
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, which is just kind of like it loses a bit of fun there. Because like that would be a setup for a better movie maybe. But yeah, no.
Steve
I
Tobolowsky gets blown up.
Oh, that would have been yeah, like man. I actually kind of liked him in the role. Maybe it's just because I kind of like him. I think he's kind of fun in the role.
It's not a bad role or a bad job that he did. It's just not the direction I would have gone. Like I wouldn't have expected.
I guess, yeah, if you saw, if I'm sure there was a bunch of people who auditioned for the role, and what did they see in him that was different than anybody else?
They knew what they were doing.
Hmm. But I do think that wraps it up for this one. But Ryan, remind us, what are we covering on Thursday?
Well, Nathan, we're going to be talking about Blind Justice, which is also free on YouTube.
Well, awesome. I'm excited to watch that one. And if you want to email us, you can email us at Drive and Double Feature Podcast. Be sure to check us out on YouTube or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon, wherever you get your podcasts. But until next time.
Until next time.